Yo guys, welcome to the last lap. Don't forget to drop a lovely, juicy 5-star rating if you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it.
You know, whether you love it or you hate it, like the sprints do add less practice to the top teams, and that's when we see a bit more chaos. Like even last year, when you look at the sprints, I mean, Sao Paulo kind of delivered. You know, that was a great.
And the
one,
race delivered after as well, because I remember obviously Kevin Magnussen got that pole. And it was like, well, we're just going to get sort of the natural order of things filtering through. But then the actual race was sick as well.
And he was able to get points as well, because that was the big thing. Haas just wanted a clean kind of sprint to get because I think it's the top 6 that get points in the sprint, or the top 8, I forget.
I think it's 8.
The top 8.
I think it's top 8.
And they were just hanging on to the points. So there was even a bit of kind of like a bit of intrigue there. So I think the sprint actually has added something to the calendar. I don't think it's something that I'd want for every single race, because then you'd have to look at, you've got to give the teams a bit more money then, because, you know, if you're going to put even more races, and then if all of them were sprints, like that's a lot of chaos. So I think about 6 or 7, maybe a third of the year max is about right. But I'm a big fan so far.
I'm interested by like sort of the dynamic of how hard drivers are going to try now in a sprint, because I feel like there was the whole element of if you retired from the sprint, for example, you're at the back for the actual Grand Prix. If you've got separate qualifying now for the sprint and then for the race, are we going to see drivers trying the audacious moves a little bit more in the sprint because they don't have to worry about the grid for the race?
Yeah, I mean, look, people were questioning when we brought the sprint in, how much the driver's going to risk, because what's the benefit? And I don't think these drivers, like, when they're racing, they're racing. I mean, we saw, I think Fernando Alonso, I remember, at Silverstone.
The first ever. So this was a big question going into the first ever sprint. I was actually there, which was amazing, you know, in 2021 at Silverstone. I mean, we were there as well.
Yeah.
And so to see it live was amazing. And there was that big question, are drivers really going to go for it? I mean, it's the first one. Maybe they'll take it back. Fernando Alonso did not hold back.
Didn't he make up like 3 places right at the start?
That first lap was unbelievable. Yeah. And that kind of, I think, set the tone, because that was a season where there was a lot on the line for all of the teams. So I think that the drivers don't hold back. It's in their nature to just go for it. You know what I mean? Like they don't know too much to hold back. So I think it's going to be exciting.
I mean, we see drivers scrapping for P13, P14 at the minute, which literally offers you nothing. Like you don't get anything. Like there's only downside really. But the drivers are going to race. I mean, think how hard they race for P10. 1 point, which is the same as what you get for fastest lap if you finish in top 10. So I don't think, I'm not worried about that. And again, I think inevitably the whole calendar will be sprint races. I think
really?
Eventually it will. Of course, like you look at how many more people. I mean, I think, you know, even us as like diehard F1 fans, like on a Friday, will I always watch practice? I'll try and catch the start of FP1.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy that woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning to watch FP1.
And you're part of the like less than 1%. That's the thing. Like most people won't watch a Friday.
Yeah, I'll watch the highlights
majority.
on YouTube. Get me? I'll just sit down and go, all right, cool, let me see the order.
Like, didn't you turn up for the race after like a night out just because it was like close enough? Like,
that did happen. That was the last live show.
Top quality.
Of course. But that's the thing. It's like ultimately the numbers are higher on a Friday when it's a sprint weekend, because there's competitive running, because there's qualifying. So it's going to happen. It will be gradually, you know, drip fed. Now we've got 6 races, then it might be 8 next year,
half
then maybe
calendar,
10.
you know.
It will get there. But again, like,
then it'll be 30 Grand Prix, and then we'll have 30 sprint weekends.
The sports, and look, obviously Liberty, you know, I'm quite happy with sprint races. Like I'm quite happy with them as a concept. I can accept that. Does that mean I endorse every single decision Liberty are going to make? No, because they are prioritised with maximising shareholder profits. Because F1, what's the F1 stock hashtag? Is it F wonk or something?
F wonk.
Yeah, I think wonk. I think that's what it's called. FWONK. I think that's what it's called.
F wonk.
Formula Wonk.
I think that's what it's called. But the stonks are up, mate.
Formula Stonk.
If you
by the way, I need to make a T-shirt of that. Like copyright Aldas.
Yeah. All right, good.
F wonk.
That's on the record. That's on record.
Maybe it's not called that. I think it's called that, but no, I'm open to it. I'm open to seeing them do something different.
The only thing I'm not open to that you've talked about constantly on Twitter, one-shot quali.
Well, they're not going to do one shot, but they're still going to do Q1, Q3, but allegedly what we're hearing is that it's going to be shortened sessions. So, for example, in Q3, you're only going to get a chance to set 1 lap.
I like that. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
So because the time's
so that's
restricted,
almost like at the same time. It's one shot and
it's a happy medium.
Yeah. It's good. That's
Because
good.
things about one shot is that I remember watching a few because obviously I actually wasn't watching Formula One back then, but they had one shot in the early 2000s, I think like 2005. And the thing is, it's cool for like the first as a novelty for like the first few, like oh my god, this is amazing. But then you're watching like the Minardis and all the cars at the back, and you're like, if you just get to the front, guys, it gets boring watching the guys. I mean, think about it now. You're watching like Nick De Vries do a lap, Yuki Tsunoda. You're waiting for constantly to see the top guys, the ones that you want to watch in qualifying. So that's the thing about one shot that gets a little bit boring.
I like the
just
chaos
waiting
for
for
the
the top
current
cars.
qualifying format as well.
Exactly. People get caught
constantly
out.
Traffic. And that's the thing, because I would argue that overall, actually, one shot is fairer because you take away traffic.
Yeah, it is,
Take
definitely.
away like
Yeah, but track conditions.
slipstreaming.
Track conditions.
Conditions like look at Kevin Magnussen.
Yeah, but they
conditions
yeah, but they
changed.
improve for the most part in the drive. They improve as the session goes on. So who goes last is the championship leader. So that means Max Verstappen is always going to get the best
Well,
track
maybe
conditions in quality.
it's FP1, reverse FP1, because then you incentivize people to go quicker in FP1.
Nah, it's too confusing.
Nah, he just knows it makes sense.
And then De Vries will be like the last person to go.
No, but the thing is, the field spread is a lot closer now, right? So say Nick De Vries goes out first, like he got to Q2 last race, like both AlphaTauris did. So I feel like as the field spread closes up, and say for example, the whole field is within 7-8 tenths, which I think is feasible.
It was 1.1 in Q1. It was 1.1 seconds in Bahrain, which is unreal.
And the more that tightens up, the more like ultimately, right? If you're in a car that's half a second clear of the next best car, you can afford to have a bit of a sloppy lap and still put it on pole. If the whole field is converging, there's more pressure. I mean, you look at like the true meritocracy, like F1 esports, the whole field spread can be in Q1 like 3 tenths.
It's insane. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I know a lot about F1 esports, but there was I think there was a screenshot someone showed of like one of the qualifying sessions. I think maybe like two hundredths of a second was like the top 10. I was like, oh my god, these guys are on crack. Like I don't know how they do it, but that's crazy.
That's what a true meritocracy can achieve.
Yeah.
Right. But I just think as time goes on, maybe it will get better. But then not all the drivers are happy. Max has said that. Well, I mean, the quote was basically, if they keep changing it, I'm off.
Yeah, paraphrasing, I'm out of here, mate.
I don't know. I think maybe he was just having a bit of a bad day and we just couldn't be asked with it. Maybe it's like
as you do as the championship leader in the dominant car,
Yeah, he slapped
shocker.
open iRacing and got peppered and was just like, you know what, lads? I'm out of it. Don't like this racing shit anymore.
Although to be fair, I think Max is the only driver where I genuinely I could see him retiring in his early 30s. Once he's won 4, 5, whatever, how many world championships, I think he is the type of guy that wants to do maybe IndyCar, definitely wants to do Le Mans. He's definitely talked about, stuff like that. So he's the only kind of that kind of level driver I could see him retiring quite early. So with him, I don't doubt
Started
it.
so early as well. So even by the time he's like
This is the
31,
thing.
he's been in the sport for like 14 years. Or
Exactly, it's
like
nuts.
Lewis was 22, I think, in his debut year. Max was 17. That's 5 years different. So it's almost like you've got to look at their careers like an offset 5 years almost to get like a true yes, age is a number, as we know. Fernando Alonso is still doing it well into his 40s.
Yeah.
Tommo still doing it almost well into his 30s as well.
I tell you what, last time I
have
had a haircut, I looked down and there was so much grey, and I was like, oh,
Really?
Wow.
I'm not seeing any right now. Have you dyed your hair?
not yet. It's coming. It's coming one
On the
day.
way.
I'll get the little blonde tips. To be fair, in the sun, my hair goes blonde at the tips. Maybe not
Is
anymore.
it?
Maybe it'll just go grey at the tips.
Should I get frosted tips as well?
Yeah, we'll all do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you've seen me. I've
Yeah, I've
already
seen
had like
you with
blonde highlights
frosted
in the
tips.
summer, so it's coming back.
you love it.